Alright guys, welcome to the third and probably final video I do about the trades. It is deadline day and it is over. The trade period is over. We have a lot of news to cover and I'm going to be running you through all the moves in all the deadline day happenings today. What's going on, guys? Let me know if you want to see some more AFL videos and off-season news throughout the off-season. And yeah, I guess we should just get right into it with the first trade that happened on deadline day, and that is Bryce Gibbs, who finally made his way to Adelaide. Adelaide received Bryce Gibbs, a 5th round selection, number 77, a future 2nd round draft selection and a future 3rd round draft selection, while Carlton received 2 first round selections, 10 and 16, a 4th round draft selection, 73, and a future 2nd round selection. So it's a bit of a win there for Carlton with 2 first round picks, but also Adelaide finally get their hands on Bryce Gibbs. Moving on to the next trade, and we have a bit of a pick swap. Gold Coast receive a 3rd round draft selection, number 50, and a future 1st round draft selection, while West Coast receive 3 2nd round draft selections, number 21, 26 and 37, and a future 2nd round selection. So 2nd rounders all across the board for West Coast, and Gold Coast receive a 3rd rounder and a future 1st rounder, which I'm sure will be handy to them in the future. Moving on to the next trade, and we have Gold Coast receiving Aaron Young, while Port Adelaide receive a future 4th round draft selection. Port Adelaide active again in the trade period, as they have been this entire trade period, and yeah, they say goodbye to Aaron Young, who moves his way up to Gold Coast while getting a future 4th round selection. Next up, we have someone moving who not a lot of people knew who he was. I for one didn't, and I'm sure probably a lot of you guys wouldn't know unless you're a Port Adelaide supporter before this trade happened. But St Kilda received Logan Austin and a future 4th round draft selection, while Port Adelaide are receiving a future 3rd round draft selection. So I would say St Kilda pretty much nearly win this trade, in my opinion. And yeah, in the next trade, we have quite an interesting one. Collingwood finally make an impact in the trade period while receiving Sam Murray from the Sydney Swans. They also get a future 3rd round draft selection, while Sydney receive a future 2nd round draft selection. There are a lot of draft swaps here, as I'm sure you guys will be able to tell. But yeah, we'll see what Sam Murray can do for Collingwood. I have a friend who is a Collingwood supporter, and he was just happy to get someone into the club during the trade period. And Sam Gibson finds a home at Adelaide, while North Melbourne receive a 5th round draft selection, number 91, which on the night they'll probably pass, as a lot of the late selections do. So Sam Gibson, most people said he deserved a new home, deserved to be on a list, and he does, and he got that while moving to the Crows. The next trade, I'm sure a lot of us expected this to happen, and it was Nathan Wilson finally moving to Fremantle. Fremantle received Wilson and a 4th round draft selection, number 71 at the time of the trade, and GWS received a 4th round draft selection, which is number 57, and a future 2nd round draft selection. So, number 57, not a lot going for them right now, getting rid of Wilson, but they will get that future round 2nd selection. Moving on to the next trade, we have Matthew Lobb making his way to Carlton for pick 95. Now, I think this is lowballing Lobb a bit. I actually think he's a good player. Well, obviously you have to be a good player to make it into the AFL, but we'll see how he does at his new home in Carlton, and hopefully he can perform well for his sake. And the package finally finds a new home at Essendon. We knew Stringer was going to be moving, but it looked for a little while like it wasn't going to happen, and somehow it's going to stay at the Crows. But Essendon received Jake Stringer, and the Dogs received 2 2nd round draft selections, 25 and 30. And by no means are they late draft selections. They're early draft selections, but I think this is good for both ways. Obviously, Stringer needed to get out of the Bulldogs, and they received 2 pretty decent picks as well. And on the topic of Bulldogs picks, they received a 1st round draft selection, which is number 16, and a 3rd round draft selection, number 40, while Carlton received a receive 2 second-round draft selections, 28 and 30, and a future second-round draft selection. So Carlton let go of that number 16. Not sure how they'd feel about that, but they do get 3 draft picks in return. Another draft pick selection trade, and Richmond are involved. The first one that Richmond are involved in, my club. Oh, I can't believe we won the premiership still. Anyway, Geelong receive a future 3rd round draft selection, while we receive a 3rd round draft selection right now, which is number 53. Not much point in this trade. We trade one from the future and get one now. I guess if there's someone late that they're targeting, then that's alright then, I guess, but, you know, a bit of a pointless pick swap there. Moving on to Carlton, another trade where they receive Matthew Kennedy, and GWS let go of an on-traded, not sure what on-traded means, 2nd round draft selection, which is number 28 at the time of the trade. When what's their faces? Port get number 95 for Lob, and they get number 28 for Kennedy. I know Kennedy will be a good player in the future, but yeah, we'll see how that goes for both sides. Luke Hodge finally gets traded and finds a new home at the Brisbane Lions. We all knew he was going to be moving up to Brisbane. It was just how he got there. So the Lions receive Hodge and a 3rd round draft selection, which is number 44. And Hawthorn receive number 43 and a 5th round draft selection at number 75. So, I guess Hawthorn, they knew he was retiring anyway. They weren't expecting him to be at the club in this year anyway. So, it's alright. The Brisbane Lions get Hodge. Carlton received Darcy Lang and a future 4th round draft selection, while Geelong receive a 4th round draft selection and a future 4th round draft selection. So 4th round draft selections all across the board. I believe Lang is a good player, and I think he'll play well for Carlton as well. Carlton are receiving a few players here, and we'll see if they can all make their way into the team and play well for the Blues. But Geelong are involved in the next trade as well, as they receive Gary Ablett coming home to Geelong, and a 2nd round draft selection, which is number 24, and a future 4th round selection. While Gold Coast received an end of the 1st round selection, number 19, and a future 2nd round draft selection. I think that this works both ways. Obviously good to get Gary home. I'm sure everyone will be happy, especially Geelong supporters. And who doesn't love Gary Ablett? Like, honestly, is there anyone who doesn't like Gary Ablett? Next one, we weren't sure on if this one would get done, but it did. The Brisbane Lions received Charlie Cameron, while Adelaide receives a 1st round draft selection, number 12. I think number 12 is a bit, I'm not sure, it's a bit in the middle. It could have been higher. I wouldn't go any higher than 12. Could have been lower, but that's where they rated Charlie Cameron. And yeah, hopefully we'll see if he's worth pick 12 and see how he goes at the Brisbane Lions. A new home there and a new journey and experience. Another pick swap. We have Port Adelaide receiving a 4th round selection, number 59, another 4th round selection, number 63, and a future 2nd round selection, while St Kilda receive a 2nd round selection, number 34, and a future round 4 draft selection. Nothing much to comment on here, just a bit of pick swapping around, seeing what they want to do. Honestly, yeah, there's basically no comment to be made. The next one I think is the most insane trade of the day. Gold Coast receive Lockie Weller and a 3rd round draft selection, while Fremantle receive a 1st round draft selection, number 2. Number 2 for Lockie Weller. Yeah, I know Gold Coast get pick 41, the 3rd round draft selection as well, but they receive pick 2 for Lockie Weller. They better hope that Lockie Weller plays well. And also Fremantle receive Brendan Matera, while Gold Coast receive a future 3rd round draft selection. Brendan Matera, at the start of Gold Coast's journey, I thought Matera was actually a really good player. Obviously he's dropped off in the last few years. He's obviously still a good player, but I think a new challenge for him down at Fremantle. We'll see how he goes. Obviously we all know Ross Lyon is absolutely insane at this point, so maybe you can develop him into some robot. The next trade, Josh Shackey moves to the Western Bulldogs, which is obviously good for Shackey. He did sign on a 2-year extension about midway through this year, I believe, but obviously homesickness, like, I don't know, it's not that far away from home. Like, you could probably get a flight and come over in the weekdays, but obviously you still need to train. I don't know what I'm on about. That is absolutely stupid. He can't get on a flight and come over in the weekdays because he's got to train. Anyway, Brisbane receive number 25 draft selection, second rounder, and a pick 40 selection in the third round. Next up, Richmond are involved in another one, and we give the Lions number 15, a first round selection, and a third round selection, which is number 52. We obviously got number 53, I'm pretty sure, in the trade with the Cats. And Richmond receive a second round selection, number 20, and another second round selection, number 25. So we get 20 and 25 in exchange for 15. I think that's alright. We get two pretty good plays instead of one earlier pick who might not even end up as good as... Okay. Next trade, North receive a third round draft selection, number 46, and a future third round selection, and Port Adelaide receive two separate untraded future third round draft selections. I know you probably didn't get all those draft selections. I didn't either. They're absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure no one can make sense of the AFL trade period. But anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed that video. I know it probably sounded like gibberish for half the time, other than the players moving. I didn't make sense of any of the trade swaps either, except, you know, Richmond, because, you know, I make sense of everything. Okay, anyway guys, hope you all have enjoyed this video. I've been blabbering on, and I will see you guys next time. Peace, have a fantastic rest of your day.